The world of the Shinigami is a desolate, rotting landscape, where time itself seems to have expired. Ryuk, the bored death god, watches the human realm with hungry, bulging eyes. His presence looms over the unfolding game of cat and mouse, a silent witness to the carnage and the duplicity of men.
I can't believe L just admitted he thinks I might be Kira. He is playing a dangerous game, standing here on the tennis court and acting so nonchalant. If I react too strongly, I look guilty. If I am too calm, I look suspicious. He is watching every muscle in my face.
What I am really hoping for is to become 100% certain that you aren't Kira. You have brilliant powers of deduction light. That is why I am asking you to help us with the investigation, even though there is still a 1% chance you are the killer.
1%? That is a smart way of putting it. If he says I am a suspect, even at 1%, there goes my freedom. I have to meet the task force now. Refusing would be a preemptive admission of guilt. He has effectively cornered me into a professional alliance.
Anyway, there are too many people around the tennis court to talk about the Kira case here. Let us go somewhere private where we can have some actual security. I want to show you the evidence we have gathered so far and get your unique perspective on the patterns.
I beg your pardon, sir, but L's orders are that nobody outside the task force, even yourself, is allowed to know the current status of the investigation. We are operating under the strictest secrecy to ensure that Kira does not get wind of our next strategic moves against him.
Well then, I am very sorry, sir, but it is not even possible to account for where you are or what you are doing. Why is there never more than one person in the task force office? It feels like we are losing control of our own department to a ghost. Mogi, is it true that someone has come up to my daughter saying he is L? I cannot answer that question either, but I need to know if my family is being targeted or if they are under suspicion. This secrecy is tearing the trust within our investigative team apart.
It isn't quite the case that your daughter is under suspicion, Yagami. But please, set your mind at rest. We are simply following the leads wherever they go. L is a careful man, and he wouldn't investigate someone without a very substantial and logical reason for doing so.
If anyone is truly a suspect in this case, it's my son. Please forget you heard that. The papers are saying the police are incompetent, that L is incompetent. The police are so scared of Kira, they have run from the case with their tails between their legs. With all due respect, sir, how could anybody call that competent? My son is a top student and a person of integrity. If L is investigating him, he is wasting his time while the real killer continues to operate in the shadows. We must focus our limited resources. If you're so concerned about what the papers say, then please make damn sure they don't find out most of the officers have jumped ship. You know very well how many detectives I have left on the task force. We are barely holding this investigation together by a thread. As we speak, L is out there risking his life to solve this case. Can we trust him? Yes, we can. He is certainly more competent than we are, despite his strange methods. We have to rely on his genius if we ever want to see Kira behind bars.
This is one of my favorite coffee shops because you've picked the perfect place for this. If you sit here in the back, nobody can hear what you're talking about. It provides the necessary anonymity for a conversation of this magnitude and gravity regarding the Kira investigation. If I sit the way other people do, my reasoning ability drops by 40%. It's true. I just can't sit any other way. Yeah, for one thing, back here, nobody's going to be staring at you for sitting like that. It might seem strange, but it is my way. I don't mean to be rude, but can I test your reasoning abilities? In that case, that can wait until you're positive that I'm not Kira. So you go ahead and start Ryuga. I am interested to see how your mind works when faced with actual criminal evidence.
I'll be fine. The way things stand, he has no proof that I'm Kira, and I have no way of proving that I'm not. I need to make him trust me so I can worm my way into the task force. This is a test of my reasoning abilities. Well, to earn some points for later, I need to show him that I do have some powers of deduction. But if I clam up, afraid of letting something slip, does that make me Kira too? I have to find the perfect balance between showing intelligence and feigning ignorance. I draw this conclusion from the fact that while L would always use an alias anyway, you made a point of calling yourself Hideki Ryuga, someone whose name and face are known to practically everyone in Japan. That is a very specific choice for a man hiding.
You're saying I'm right, just like that? Correct. Why should I hide the fact that you're right? And the probability that you're really L is extremely low. Why's that? Even when he's using the police, he needs to do that from the shadows, out of view. The real L needs to stay someplace safe at all times. You're right that anyone calling himself L puts himself in danger. And why would he come out into the open now when he's never shown himself before? It contradicts everything we know about his established operational security.
Still, I actually think you really might be L, Ryuga. Well, most people probably imagine L to be a lot older than you, or more detective-like somehow. Meaning, and what are the odds that L took that into account in choosing me? It is a circular logic loop.
I have to admit, I'm getting pretty confused. When you start second-guessing and third-guessing like this, it's endless. Humans are such fascinating creatures, always trapped in their own webs of suspicion and mental gymnastics, while I just enjoy the show and the apples.
I'd like you to look at it and tell me what you think. This information has never been made public. Since this is basically an interview to see if I can request your help in the investigation, I suppose it's rude not to show you anything at all. And these 3 photographs show notes written by prisoners shortly before they died. We believe they wrote them under Kira's control. This is a list of the 12 FBI agents who were murdered by Kira, with the order in which they received the file and died.
Let's see. First, please take a look at the FBI list. Does it tell you anything? Does he think that showing me these is going to make me go pale or something? He is watching my eyes for any flicker of recognition or guilt as I scan the names. He doesn't give Kira much credit. Is the Kira he envisions stupid enough to fall for something like this? What's this file you said they received? If I don't know that, there's no way I can make sense of this. I must act like a confused outsider.
In that case, okay, Kira needs to know what people look like, and maybe also their names. This file contained both names and photos, and the very same day the agents received this file, they all died. So there's a possibility that Kira used this file to kill them.
Jeez, this is kid stuff. These photos have their print number on the back. These 3 notes are very interesting. All right, what about these notes? It looks to me like he could have dictated these notes, actually, because they contain a hidden taunt to L. It's pretty amazing.
But because the order that makes most sense would be, let's see, L, do you know gods of death love apples? If you take the first word of every line, they form a sentence, or rather, a question. That doesn't make much sense, so I find it hard. L, do you know gods of death love apples? If you put them in that order, the backs of the photos have their print number on them. Kira wanted L to read it like that. Incorrect. In fact, there's a 4th note. A 4th note? If you add this, you get the following message. L, do you know gods of death love apples? Gods of death have red hands. No, it wasn't, because there were in fact 4 notes. Figuring that out would have made your reasoning flawless. This is a crucial distinction. Okay, but if there were only 3 notes, my reasoning was flawless. What does he think he's going to find out by showing me this bogus note? Is he just fooling with me? Damn. I think I'm correct in deducing that you decided there were only 3 notes, Yagami-kun.
I get it. He doesn't want to see how smart I am. He wants to see my reaction. There was no 4th note, so he'd find this whole thing ridiculous or get pissed off. So if I insist on my version, he'll only be more convinced it's me. Gee, you're right. I didn't think of that. But still, either way, I don't think these notes will help you find Kira. I mean, Shinigami don't even exist. Saying I decided there were only 3 notes is just a way of challenging me. It's got nothing to do with determining if I'm Kira.
Stay cool. I'm sure his main aim was to have me come up with, L, do you know gods of death love apples, without noticing the print numbers. If you came face to face with someone who might be Kira, how would you try to determine if he was? But if he's Kira, he'll be watching out for more tricks. Now, so he won't talk much anymore. He didn't fall for the file or the print numbers. I'd try to make them say things that haven't been reported in the news. Things only Kira could know. Very good. But you, Yagamami-kun, were instantly able to think about it from the perspective of Kira talking to an investigator. When they finally came up with an answer, it was usually something silly like, bring out a well-known criminal and watch from a hidden location if they kill him or not. I have already asked the same question to a number of detectives, and most of them took a few minutes to think about it. Look at him, all satisfied with himself. Does he think he set me up or something? I have to say, you are quite brilliant, Yagami-kun. Truly impressive. Now it's up to 3%. Indeed. However, this also increases my desire to help us in the investigation. Your analytical skills are beyond reproach, and having someone with your intellect could be the key to cracking this case wide open and finding Kira.
If this guy turns out to be nothing more than L's errand boy, there's practically no point talking to him. To tell you the truth, you guessed correctly earlier. At present, I am not the only one going around calling himself L. This is just one layer of the duplicity.
If I help you, the investigation might move forward. At the same time, if I'm Kira, I might slip up and betray myself. Do you understand my logic? My position is this. Even if you are Kira, I'd like you to help us with this investigation. It is high stakes.
I don't know for sure that he isn't L, but if this guy's just some proxy who works for L and doesn't even drop by the task force, I ought to stop talking to him immediately. Hey, Light, looks to me like he's got you up against the wall. While it's true I'm very interested in the Kira case, and even in helping to solve it, I think you've got me all wrong, Ryuga. So you and I are in the same position, basically. Think about it from my perspective. Is it fair that you get to question me, but I can't question you? I'm not going to help someone I can't even trust and end up getting murdered by Kira. I'd rather think about the case on my own. I'm not Kira, and I sure as hell don't want to get killed. This is becoming a very dangerous conversation for me.
Anybody looks at us, all they see are two college students. In fact, most people would probably say you're more likely to be Kira than me. Neither of us can prove we aren't Kira. It is a stalemate of identity and suspicion in this public setting. He's a classic example of someone who hates to lose. It's up to 7%. Or maybe he really is. Boy, Light Yabami sure talks a lot. If you say you can't do that until I prove I'm not Kira, then I can't work with you on this case. I'm talking about having someone I can trust. For example, someone in the task force or my father tell me straight out that you're L, or at the very least, a part of this investigation. Am I correct in understanding that if I take you to the task force, you'll help us?
I'm working directly with your father and the rest of the task force right now. I never once said I wouldn't let you meet with members of the task force. What the hell is this guy thinking? He is constantly shifting the goalposts on me.
Excuse me? Beep, beep, beep. What's the matter? Ryuzaki, we have an emergency. Mr. Yagami has collapsed. What? The news hits like a physical blow. The investigation comes to a screeching halt as the reality of mortality intrudes upon our mental battlefield in complex games. Now it's mine. Light, it's your father. Yagami-kun, your father had a heart attack. Kira? The word echoes in my mind. Did Kira do this? Is it a coincidence? Or has the killer finally struck home? My world is spinning as I process the horror. You may lend the Death Note to another person while maintaining its ownership. Subletting it to yet another person is possible too. The borrower of the Death Note will not be followed by a god of death. The god of death always remains with the owner of the Death Note.